Good evening and welcome to the Dark Ozarks.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Lisa.
Hey, Josh. Hey, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good evening.
Absolutely. We're in the thick of the Halloween season.
Yes, we are. In the thick of the cold.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's a long way from the 104 that we were dealing with just a couple of months ago.
Mm-hmm. But it also makes you start thinking about spooky, scary stories too. Or it does.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And for a lot of people, the haunting season ends at Halloween. In terms of what I think is a more objective reality, it's really just the beginning.
It really is. I mean, well, pretty much year round, but it really is the beginning of the cold, spooky season. And tonight we're kind of playing with the topic of ghosts where you don't expect them.
Very, very true. And there's of course there's a there is an association of the paranormal with spooky place, spooky activity. That is the certainly the cliche. Sometimes it's very accurate.
It can be, or is it just that coincidence that all those factors line up? But I think we are conditioned to visually decide, is this a place that might be haunted, and then contemplate whether there really are ghosties there. But that's not always the case.
No, it's not. Now, before we dig into our short format live here, we do have some upcoming events, and of course, two fantastic sponsors.
Yes, we do. Shout out to our sponsors. Always Buying Books in Joplin, Missouri. They sponsor the podcast and some of our events. Wonderful resource, not only for research materials, which we love, but any type of reading, fiction, nonfiction, general reading, and hard to find items. Bob and Elise do a wonderful job. And then the Beard Engine Brewing Company in Alba, Missouri.
Yes.
Also wonderful ale, wonderful food there too, and award-winning. How much more can you ask for?
It really is phenomenal. Great. Both locations. We do encourage people. Of course, you can check them out online. You can check them out on social media. You can follow them on social media. But the best thing is just to plan to visit.
Exactly. And ironically, both places are haunted, which you might not expect.
Yes, especially Always Buying Books.
Yes. Most people don't associate, sort of just retail space at a bookstore being haunted, but it is. I've investigated it. They have activity and have had for years, and seems to probably predate the bookstore, but events in the building. And even Beard Engine Brewing, just to look at it, you might not assume that it's haunted. It's a very beautiful, well done building. It is, a historic building, but not every historic building is haunted.
Right. And yet we got some, I would say, stunning responses just in terms of the rapidity of response from setting up our equipment for not even a full-fledged investigation, but just a survey investigation of the location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. It was very active, very interactive, and with experiences that people have reported repeatedly for a long time.
Very much. Yes. And one of the things that I think is very fascinating is in some of these cases, Beard Engine brewery comes to mind, brewing company comes to mind. You do realize the building is very beautiful. You don't have to be terribly aware of your surroundings to understand that it is an older building.
Yes.
But unless you've done research or have heard some of the stories, you don't know some of the things that have gone on there, some of which involve some pretty high degree of violence.
Yeah.
And at one juncture point, I love the fact that while we were there, it was pointed out to us the bullet holes in the brick.
Yes.
But at the same time, you could inhabit that space for years, and if no one told you the history, you wouldn't necessarily put that together.
That's true. You really might not know, other than maybe just a stray odd thing happening. But it is, both of those are good examples of, you can walk into a space and have an experience and not anticipate it, and really be taken aback because it's the last thing you were thinking about in that space.
Yes. And it also brings up something that I think is important for individuals experiencing activity or individuals looking to do credible research, is the mantra that you and I have both heard many times, that is so often inaccurate. Why would this place be haunted? Nothing happened here.
Right.
And we'll dig into that. But we better go through our list. We have several, I can't count that high. We have several great upcoming events that we want to invite folks to.
Yes. First of all, tomorrow night, the 20th, Downtown Joplin walking tour, flashlight tour, in conjunction with the Third Thursday Art Walk. We will be doing a walking tour of downtown with the history and some of the ghost stories that come out of it.
Yes.
And proceeds help the Joplin Downtown Alliance, who is a sponsor of the Art Walk, as well as other art-related events and organizations. And they are also instrumental in a variety of historic building restorations. So it's a good cause to support. And then on the 29th, a week from this Saturday, we'll be in Newtonia, Missouri, and I'm getting pretty excited about this one.
I am too. The Ritchie Mansion, Newtonia, Missouri, fantastic location. Great opportunity to see some very historic locations, as well as some pretty haunted locations as well. It will include a tour of the Civil War Cemetery after dark. Just FYI.
Yeah. Which is worth it.
Totally worth it. The Civil War Cemetery is an incredible location, and
it really is.
We've been there multiple times, and I'm anticipating that we're doing the same, right? A 3-part tour, history, paranormal investigation survey, and the cemetery.
Yes.
As well as food.
And food, yes. So the event keeps growing and expanding every time we do it. And, it's just amazing. Plus, you really do get to walk in the footsteps of history.
You do.
With this.
It's phenomenal. And essentially on the eve or on the anniversary of the Second Battle of Newtonia.
Yes, actually the day after. So, almost perfect timing.
it really is. And, I'll just say it now, most activity, not to burst anybody's bubble, most activity isn't necessarily tied to a cyclical date.
Right.
That said, there is something very special about being this close to the anniversary of what was a really extraordinary battle, of 2 extraordinary battles.
Yes.
That were incredibly important to really the war in Missouri, and consequently, although these got classified as skirmishes in comparison to, say, Manassas or Vicksburg, the siege of Vicksburg,
Right.
those types of things, that these were very, very pivotal moments of conflict in the war, the trans Mississippi War, but very pivotal in terms of the war in Missouri. And the war in Missouri was pivotal to the war.
It really was in a lot of ways, and we could talk for hours on that. And the Second Battle of Newtonia essentially was the last major offensive in Missouri. So
yes, if you and the fact that it's so close, beginning with the Battle of Carthage and ending with the Second Battle of Newtonia, and they're, in the scheme of things, next door to one another.
Well, I mean, literally, what, maybe 30 miles apart.
the oh my gosh, that's a little eerie all by itself. We hope to see you there, as well as, of course, in Joplin tomorrow night. And then continuing the haunted season beyond Halloween is a double event in one day on November 19th.
Yes, in the afternoon, we will be at Always Buying Books for a book signing for both of us. So come out and talk to us and get books and have them signed, and pick our brains and see if we have any brain cells left at that point.
at the quote unquote end of the process. And and I invite people, I'm just going to start doing this plug, talk to me about how I weave real folklore and real locations into fiction.
Exactly. I like that.
That a lot, it cracks me up. I don't blame it. I buy a lot of nonfiction. I really do. My novel is fiction. And repeatedly I talk to folks, particularly, and it's very understandable because many of the things that we're at are history oriented.
Right.
And so then they look at me and they say, "Oh, is it history?" And I went, "No, it's fiction." And they go, "I don't read fiction." And then they go on. So there is real history, and there is a lot of real folklore in my book. There's a lot of things that you can learn.
There really are. And so, and it is a great story. It really is. And it's not just because I'm saying it about you.
I know you're not. And no, you're not. And of course, on the nonfiction side, you'll have a number of fantastic titles. And I'm not just saying this about you because it's you. You're a fantastic writer, and it is incredible. The thing that quick plug about books as we're getting ready to talk about Web City Library, which actually, let's talk about Web City Library in terms of a haunting out of place.
Okay.
To conclude here on live short format before we go to long format on Facebook. Also be sure to like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell, and all things one does on social media. Thank you for following us on YouTube. Also check out the archives because we have a ton of videos uploaded on them. Yes. That said, it is not terribly difficult. So my coffee hit bottom. So there's for anybody who wanted to interact with me better, I'm gonna may get something thrown at me for saying this, but there is a point of comparison that I'm going to make. Then we're going to talk about the haunted library. I really have very little issue with rude people as long as they're highly competent, and I don't mind incompetent people as long as they're really nice. But I have zero patience for rude, incompetent people, FYI. So if you're meeting me, take that into consideration. That said, now there's the point of comparison. It is not terribly difficult to find things that, especially in terms of the subject of regional history, things that are fun to read, but are woefully inaccurate. It is also not difficult, comparatively speaking, if you want to dig into some larger books and texts and stuff, to find things that are somewhat accurate, lean heavily toward accurate, but they are ponderous to get through what is in a very, very slim margin. And I'm not just talking about here in the Ozarks. I'm not throwing people here under the bus. I'm just talking in general about regional histories or provincial histories, if you will, that it is very difficult to find high quality, well-researched, precise works that are also eminently readable, that you just enjoy the process of reading. And every single one of your books are. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That was a long way around the block.
That's about the best compliment I can get. I appreciate that.
but it is, and of course, I think both factors are exceptionally important to the subject matter, because of course, for the obvious reason, it's crucial to be precise in the history that we record, because this is going to be our voice into future generations. But at the same time, if it is so ridiculously thick and dull that no one reads it, it's a little self-defeating.
True. No use shouting into a vacant lot.
No. So we will do the book signing at Always Buying Books in the afternoon and on November 19th. And then we will transition over to the Web City Library for obviously a tour, yes, but we're going to be doing some investigation work.
Yes, we will. And as you said, it's a good example of a place that's haunted that you may not expect. And I get that a lot from people who are not familiar with it. Really, the library is haunted. And I guess other than, the scene in Ghostbusters with the librarian, most people don't think about libraries as having activity, but they can and do. And it's actually been quite haunted since pretty much opening day in 1914, with a little girl that is seen, poltergeist activity, disembodied voices, all kinds of things that have happened and been captured on video. And it's just a lot of fun. And it's a beautiful building.
Yes, it is. It is. As you noted, it does the current structure dates back to 1914. Was it a Carnegie Library?
Yes.
Yeah. So that says a lot right there if you're familiar with that history. And since a lot of November 19th is going to be about the conduction of an investigation, we can tease people a little bit more, I think, just before we close. Some of your favorite past experiences. These are things that might or might not manifest while we're there. You never know.
Some of my favorite things there. Well, and this has been captured on video multiple times, of us being in a room, leaving, and then after leaving, literally very slowly, books that are standing on top of shelves, open, and have been there for weeks, just very slowly close, tip over, and then slide off across the floor.
Yes. and a lot of video footage of this activity.
Yes, and unexplained lights in the building that we can't figure out the source or what's happening. But my favorite is the apparition of the little girl. And she's usually described as looking like a gray dress. And my favorite time, she's actually been seen multiple times on tours by people. I have not seen her, but other people have. And my favorite was, we were walking from one area into another. And the area that you kind of have to walk through, you kind of have to go through almost an archway. And as we are starting to go through that area, so people are kind of walking and going to their right, fella kind of looks over his shoulder to the right, and between two rows of books, he sees the little girl standing there and lets out a scream, to which he's very embarrassed about afterwards. And he says she turned around and just like vanished. And he's bright red, and everyone, people were staying there looking at him. But it was very apparent that it was not put on. It was very authentic, and he was genuinely surprised.
Oh, that's fantastic and amazing. So you never know what you may or may not experience on a tour of this nature or an investigation of this nature. And this is the event at Web City is one of the few that it really is kind of the crowning point of the season, is the only event where we can actually sit down and do an investigation, like in a fullest sense, or a more full sense of the word.
Yes, for this season, yes, it is. And it's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
With the Old English Inn past event on October 7th, basically being able to give a great tour of the haunted location, and at the VFW over the weekend, be able to talk a lot about results and the paranormal in general, and pardon me, and then coming up at the Ritchie Mansion, we typically, because of the logistics of the event, we can do a demonstration and answer questions, but actually just flat out do the investigation, it's a little bit different.
It is. And part of that is just the size of the building, the library being much bigger, it facilitates that. And so we encourage everyone to come out. Tickets are available at paranormalsciencelab.com, and come out, enjoy, and support good causes.
Absolutely. And all of these events, a great deal of the proceeds go to support the historic structures or programs for the library, etc. So it is a lot of giving back to the community by your participation.
It really is. And with that, I think we'll switch over to our longer format, and which will be uploaded here tomorrow night. So, either watch it then or join us live over on Facebook here in a little bit. And we appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Sounds great.